Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. Hey everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me again this week are the ones that I have deemed the Brothers of Destruction. WWE, don't at me. And I have some news about these gentlemen, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves first. Go ahead, Nate, Willie, say hello to everybody.
Yo, what's up everybody?
Hey, how's it going?
It is gooing well.
Hey, there is that Dragon Quest spirit.
Hey. So right off the bat, just a little house cleaning, and I'm touching my mic while I'm talking right now, so it's going to be noises that I can't edit out, so enjoy all that, everyone.
That's ASMR, baby.
Good Foley work.
So as you guys know, Ryan has had a lot of life happen and hasn't been able to be on recently. And you guys have come in clutch and been on, and I super duper fucking appreciate that, because it is much easier to have people to bounce things off of than to just talk into a wow, I can't even talk into a microphone. Talking to a microphone.
Good thing you have us.
Yeah, right. Jesus Christ. It's hard to talk into a microphone by yourself. I don't know how James does it every week on the JRPG Report. Like, although he is giving news, which I think is a little easier than trying to like convey how much you like a game, but like, even still, kudos to him that he can do it every week, because it's a pain. So, like, I super duper appreciate you guys coming on. So, that being said, I would like to formally introduce Willie as a co-host for the show.
Yo.
So, round of applause. Yay! Golf claps all around.
And for me.
And Nate, I have delegated to what I would like to call a perma-guest host, which is exactly what I have Ryan as now, and I'll tell Nate the same thing I told Ryan, and it's that, like, whenever you guys have time and you feel like being on, you're more than welcome to come on and be on an episode. The only difference is whenever a shitty game gets pulled, I'm going to say, haha, Willie, you have to play this with me, and Nate can say, haha, Willie, you have to play that with him, because but again, like, for both of you and for Ryan, like, obviously, it's not an obligation. There's ever any things that come up in life, or you just need a week off or anything, like, obviously, you're more than welcome to take it. Like, this is it's just a podcast, but, like, I super appreciate you guys, and I look forward to many more episodes of us talking about random bullshit and video games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Glad to be able to help you out and Just I enjoy being on the show with you, buddy.
Yeah, it felt really good to be able to talk to you about some of the behind the scenes things, going through the guest host era and all that, and really nail down some plans for like, episode structure. Watch the like crazy spreadsheets you made and all that. Like I don't know, just the amount of seriousness you take into the show is like crazy to see. And I'm glad that you were able to bounce your ideas off people and that we were able to, in turn give you, helpful feedback.
Yeah, for sure, man. And speaking of fucking spreadsheets, so
This maniac.
I've crammed a lot of Dragon Quest XI in the past few days, and that's because one night this week I was like, you know what? I'm gonna add the genre and the Metacritic score. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I just started off I'm just gonna add the genre to every game on the list, and I started doing that, and I got to about G on the list, right? And I started being like, there's got to be an easier way than having to click through how long to beat and then go into the game to look to see the genre. So I was like, I wonder if Metacritic has the genre. So I went on Metacritic, and yeah, as soon as I would click the game, it would bring up the game, the genre, and then the Metacritic score. So I was like, oh, well, I could add the Metacritic scores while I'm at it. So I started at G and added genre and Metacritic score all the way down from like number, 400 and something all the way down to 1400 and something. And then had to go back from 1 to wherever I started and finish the Metacritic scores for those. But it's done now. It took me 2 days.
Wow, I can't believe you actually did all of it.
Yeah, it took me 2 solid days of waking up at like 7 o'clock at night, pounding myself with caffeine and typing all night. Like, I would shout out to Outside Xbox on YouTube. I love you, British motherfuckers, because your guys' playlist of all your list videos and like your live D&D streams and stuff, like, got me through all of that typing because it was like I had something on to listen to in the background. And I will fight anyone that disagrees that Jane Douglas may be the prettiest woman on the planet. Well, prettiest British woman. I don't know how to word it. I have a major thing for her. Let's just put it that way. She's awesome. I'm rambling now. But anyway, yeah, I finished up the list. And now like I would eventually like to add the release dates and the developers and publishers to the list too, because it's kind of like eventually I just want this to be my catalog. You know what I mean? Where I can go and I have all the info about the game and all that jazz. But it is so time consuming. And
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like it.
and I'm a crazy motherfucker where I can't just be like, all right, I'm gonna do the A's today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna do the B's. It's like, no, I'm gonna see how much of this I can get done at one time, because I'm a psychopath or a glutton for punishment. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But I can tell you, I was tired of fucking typing after it was all said and done. When I loaded it up Dragon Quest, I was like, oh man, the burnout's not so bad right now because I'm so burned out on typing that playing this game is like really refreshing. Which so before we get into Dragon Quest, real quick, I know Willie, you wanted to touch on some Nintendo E3 stuff.
Oh yeah. So we covered the first week of E3, or I mean, the first few days of E3 on the last episode. We didn't really have a lot to talk about with the other, other developers since between then and now. But we speculated last time about who the Smash character would be. I think Nate held out that it would be Crash or Spyro. I said it would be a Nintendo first-party disappointment. Dalton, did you have a prediction?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Doom Guy.
Yeah, I wanted it to be Doom Guy. Still, I don't think, even though it was so clear that Bandai Namco did not have a unique character outside of Pac-Man in the game, they felt like they were due for representation. None of us had Kazuya Mishima on the board, and welcome him to the Smash, man.
Right?
Yeah, that was definitely a surprise for sure. I'm not really too familiar. I hadn't played a lot of Tekken before, but Ryu's really fun in Smash. Terry's really fun in Smash. Throw another fighting game character in there. Let's learn some more not active input. Let's learn some more input commands. Let's go.
Yeah.
He did the 10-hit string in there. That was so crazy.
I was like, so the reveal trailer kind of just shows somebody carrying Ganon towards a volcano. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, I see the kind of outline of Kazuya, and I'm like, or Kazuya?
Kazuya, you're right.
Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, sorry. This trailer thing I'm looking at has it misspelled. It says Kazuya DLC character. Shame on them. Yeah, so Kazuya, I saw his outline, and I'm like, I know who that is, but I can't think of his name. And I was thinking Jin, which is another Tekken character, but I was like...
It's another Mishima. It's in the family. That would have been, I thought, more obvious than Kazuya, actually.
And when he dropped him in the volcano and it showed that it was Kazuya, I went, no shit. Because I had just reinstalled Tekken 7, like, the day before. Because I've been itching to play some fighting for some reason. So I was like, I'll get down on some Tekken. And I was like, that's cool, man. I said, I would pay for him in Smash.
So when that trailer was dropping, I was, like, on voice chat with a couple of my friends, and then I was also on like text with Nate too, and like the moment the volcano showed up, I just yelled out like, "It's Tekken!" Like I was like so stoked because Tekken was not even a thought for me there. I didn't actually expect that. I don't know why, because I guess because in the past, for Part 4, Smash for 3DS and Wii U, Sakurai had said they wanted to put Heihachi in the game, but thought that the inputs would be so far away from the game that they couldn't reasonably do it. But you know what? That's the same logic as when Sakurai said for Part 4, Ridley's too big for the game. Well, guess who's here? Ridley's here, he's not too big. And a Tekken character's here. The inputs are not too impossible. Nothing is impossible anymore.
The inputs are too impossible, yet they literally made Pikachu a fighting character. Like, I believe... Like, if they could take a Pokemon and make them a fighting character, like, they can take a fighting game character and put it into a fighting game.
Yeah, right?
And I'm calling it a fighting game because I got a lot of flack the other day for calling it not a fighting game. So, yeah, there's that. And Nate, I remembered, like, what I was trying to say the other day. I was just very, very stoned trying to talk about what I was trying to convey, and it was not happening. When I say brawler, I mean like a beat 'em up style fighting game, like Brawlhalla, Super Smash Brothers, Brawl Out, all the games that have like brawl in their title. Like I just consider those quote unquote brawlers because there's more than just two people. It's kind of like chaos going on. There's a biggish level. That was just what I was getting at, and I know I did not convey that very well the other day, so hopefully that clears a little bit of it up.
I think you just were trying to remember the phrase platform fighter and just couldn't come up with it.
Yeah, that and beat 'em up. Like I couldn't remember beat 'em up either. Like my brain had just completely shut off and was like, nope, you cannot talk right now. You were just going to keep saying words that everyone's going to be like, yeah, we heard you, but we don't know what you mean. And it's like, it's yeah, I don't know.
I think someone in that chat said also in Japan, apparently, there's a fighting game subgenre where if the characters don't largely have the auto turnaround, it's called Free Fighter, which I also thought was a pretty cool like title for the genre. So I don't know if anyone wants to say Smash isn't a quote fighting game because it's a free fighter. I get that. I would call it a subgenre, which I think is what me and Nate were arguing with you at that point.
And yeah, I don't disagree at all that it would be a subgenre. But to me, like when I think of a fighting game, it's like like your Tekkens or your Street Fighters or anything like that, where you got one character and one character fighting, and then you might have like where one character loses and another one comes in. But at any time, there's usually only two characters on the screen. That was all I was getting at.
And I think even the definition of fighting game can be expanded too, because I mean, realistically, UFC games are basically fighting games,
Yeah, as are wrestling games.
Yeah,
in a sense, you're trying to get your opponent's health down enough that you can beat them, like.
Yeah, I think the only thing that makes the UFC and wrestling and platform fighters games different from the traditional fighting game is just the win condition is something other than reduce them to 0 damage.
Yeah, for sure. And even that depends on the game, because I think there's a mode in Fire Pro Wrestling World where you can turn it on and whoever loses their HP first gets knocked out and they lose.
So, yeah, they had that in the Game Boy version. It was like a fake UFC mode almost, where you could like knock people out.
Yeah, they still have the UFC mode.
That's awesome.
I haven't messed with it yet because, I'm all about the pro wrestling, but that UFC mode is there. So up next, something that I thought was interesting was Metroid Dread.
Yeah. So those were definitely the two biggest takeaways from the Nintendo E3 stuff to me were Metroid Dread and the Smash Bros. Character reveal. Also, disappointed there's not another Donkey Kong Country Returns game. Give it to me.
I feel like there hasn't been a Donkey Kong game in a while.
There hasn't been one since Nintendo Switch in 2014. I'm sorry,
Wii U,
in
yeah.
2014, which was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze.
That wasn't the one with the bongos, right?
No, that was
No.
Oh, okay.
Donkey Kong is what you're thinking of. That was, I think, a GameCube title.
I just remember hearing somebody beat Dark Souls with that controller, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Like, people beat that fucking game with anything these days. I don't understand.
I've seen some wild games play through with the Donkey Bongos. That is really cool. But Metroid Dread. They call it Metroid 5 in the thing, which is like Metroid Fusion is Metroid 4, Super Metroid's Metroid 3. So like that also means I guess they're either writing off Other M or saying like it didn't really count, which is I think kind of cool because Other M is widely considered a game that did bad things to the Samus character. So if they're going to go ahead and say, we goofed on that one, I'm pretty good with it. Or maybe they're just saying it doesn't count as a 2D Metroid, unlike, the other 4 that I mentioned. 1, 2, Super, and Fusion.
Now, see, the only Metroid I've ever played was Super Metroid.
Oh, the only Castlevania I've ever played was Symphony of the Night. You just picked the best and most beloved one, man.
Well, I mean, I had a friend when I was younger who had a Super Nintendo, and that was the one he had. So like, I was terrible at it, so I never beat it, but I had a good time with it. What interests me most about this game, though, is that it was first announced in 2006.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like holy fuck, talk about some fucking development hell or holding on to it for a rainy day or something like.
Yeah, in one of the Metroid Prime games, there's a little cutscene that says something along the lines of Project Metroid Dread, and, that title's been there this whole time, since the GameCube era. And now we're getting an actual 2D, well, 2.5D if you want to be weird about it, 3D graphics in the 2D plane, Metroid game that, I don't know, I thought it looked sick.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. I liked the little robot thing that was following you around,
Yeah.
and I'm just excited to see another 2D, what's going to end up being a Metroidvania style game.
Yes.
It's been so long since we've had a big official company do one. We get the Kickstarter funded ones, but we haven't seen a real Castlevania or Metroid in such a long time. And getting a new Metroid in that style of gameplay, it just is thrilling to me. Because, I know everybody loves Super Metroid, but I would argue that the Game Boy Advance games are better than Super Metroid.
And to see what they may have learned from these indie Metroidvanias in the meantime, there have been so many great games in that genre that I'm really hoping that they took some lessons from and found a new way to bring the game forward. Because I think Metroid Fusion, like you said, the Game Boy Advance games were so good. And I think one of the cool things Metroid Fusion did was take that sequence break idea of doing things out of order and making it feel like you did that on purpose,
Yeah. And the other cool thing about Metroid Fusion was it was almost felt like playing a horror game at times when there's nothing you can do to defeat the we're going off on a tangent here, but to defeat the fake Samus that's following you around trying to kill you. You can't actually damage them. It's like being stalked by Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers. It's wild.
Yeah, for a series that got its original inspiration from the Alien series, I think it hit its peak of horror with the SAX. All those little sequences where you just hear the boots of the SAX on the ground, and I don't know, when I first played Metroid Fusion, it just happened that I was in public, so I played it with headphones in. The audio, when you just hear the SAX's boots, so good, man. That game, you felt stalked, you felt overpowered. It was an awesome feeling. And I'm hoping that Dread, with the name Dread, I hope that they can lean into that, horror feeling.
Yeah, they could take some cues from the game's already made, so it doesn't really matter. But I've played games like Outlast and things like that where they're horror games, and the only option you have is to run. You can't even attack. So it's nice that at least in Metroid you have some ability to defend yourself, because the stress that Outlast put me under was fucking ridiculous. When your only options are to run, hide, or die. And there are some terrifying moments in that game.
That would be a great tagline. Your only options are to run, hide, or die.
I think that is the tagline for it.
Oh, nice.
Those are your only options. So, are y'all excited about WarioWare at all?
It's not a series that I played any ever. So I always thought the concept was pretty neat, but it was never anything that I was going to shell out money for.
Yeah, I've never played one. I know a couple people who are super excited for it, but to me, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to pay $60 for a collection of really, really short mini games.
Yeah, I'd play it at a friend's house, but
Yeah, seeing it made me want to pick up an old version of the game instead, you know?
Yeah, I figured I could like just pick it up, an old one, or emulate it. Guardians of the Galaxy, I haven't even watched the trailer because I just don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good movies, right. But yeah. Mario Golf, gonna be fucking awesome. Look forward to that. Probably won't get it anywhere near release, but I would like to get it eventually.
I feel like it's a low-key killer app. Like, Mario Golf could be, like, the best game on the system, and you don't even know yet, you know?
Yeah, looking at it, it reminds me a lot of Everybody's Golf, and
yes, I
know me and my dad really both enjoy playing that, so I told him, I was like, man, we might have to get Mario Golf and have a new golf game to play. I was kind of surprised that they announced a new Fatal Frame game.
Yeah, I kind of thought that the sun had set on that series, but, you know, like...
Me too.
It's, I don't know, man. More horror games, more interesting ideas. I'm down with that. I guess I should have figured maybe they're still around when Fatal Frame was put into Smash Ultimate, but I kind of figured that was like a throwback thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know much about the series. I just haven't heard about it for a while, so it kind of was like, oh, well, that's interesting.
It was a PlayStation 1 debut series, if I remember right. Like, the first game had this really big, like elaborate debut. They had demo discs, and they invited a bunch of, like, photographers and journalists to one place and did this cool thing with it. But, like, that it's still kicking today, like, 20 plus years later, that's pretty wild. Because it's obviously not one that got the same attention as your Silent Hill or your Resident Evil or even Alone in the Dark, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So the two that I'll kind of wrap up on, and then there's one we'll talk about at the end, of course, that everybody's going to be talking about. But the two that actually sparked me the most, other than Mario Golf, was Super Monkey Ball, because I have this weird nostalgia with that game because, like, my brother gave me his GameCube back in the day, and he gave me two games with it, and it was Super Mario Sunshine and Super Monkey Ball. Those were the two games that he had, and I played the shit out of both of them. And I used to have a lot of fun with Monkey Ball, man. That game's so strange, but so fun. And I think it'll fit really well on the Switch, especially since they're bringing, like, the original 3 games, so...
Wasn't Monkey Ball originally a Dreamcast game?
That is a possibility. I'm not 100% sure.
Like, I want to say I think it's one of those ones that was originally on the Dreamcast, and then the GameCube had all of this, like, Island of Misfit Toys Dreamcast games. Like, it got Ikaruga, it got, like, I don't know, a lot of those games that were really big on the Dreamcast that were able to come back in slightly larger console form.
I think that was one of them. The Dreamcast is something that I always heard was a good underrated system, but I had a buddy and he had Mortal Kombat Gold, and that's the only game I've ever played on a Dreamcast. Was Mortal Kombat. It was fun though. It was fun. Weird controller.
Yeah. But, I mean, the Dreamcast in general had, like, I don't know, it felt like it was like there were so many weird ideas that they came up with for the Dreamcast, so many strange games. Like, I think we talked about Power Stone earlier when we were talking about platform fighters, and, like, that was a game that was ahead of its time. And, like, I don't know, like, the Dreamcast, it was like all the potential, but Sega just was not great at being a healthy company to put out a hardware at that point in time and support it.
Yeah. And then the only other game that really interests me, because, like, I'll go ahead and get it out of the way. Like, they haven't shown enough of Breath of the Wild 2 to make me give a shit. Like, what they did show was cool and everything, but I still don't know enough to make me be like, yeah, I'll play that, because I haven't even beat the first one yet. Like, I've got 80 hours into the first one, and I think I've beaten one of the major bosses. So, like, I don't know. I haven't sank more time.
How are you 80 hours into Breath of the Wild only beating one of the bosses, Dalton? You're really bad at pushing the objective in video games.
Yeah, I was listening to the Ease 2 episode, or part 2 of Ease 8, and you were talking about, you got a letter, and you were like, oh, well, I won't beat this game, because then I'll be able to come back to it sometime. I won't finish the final castle on the 4th disc of Final Fantasy VIII. Dude, you're not even finishing disc 2 of this game. Come on, at least beat the Divine Beast of Breath of the Wild. Come on, my dude.
I might have beaten 2 by now. I know I beat the big elephant-like one, and then I was on my way to go do the one in the sky. I just don't remember if I ever beat the one in the sky. I've been to all the villages though, and met all those people. But anyway, so like they haven't shown enough to make me super interested. I mean, I'm intrigued, but it's not like a day one purchase for me or anything yet. What did catch my eye was a little game that I've been waiting for them to talk about for fucking ever, and that is Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Yeah. Also, I will give Nate credit because he actually clocked that it was SMT before I was like, what the hell is this? And it was like, Shin Megami Tensei?
Oh yeah, as soon as I'm a fan of that series. So as soon as I saw the graphical style, I was like, finally.
I didn't even think he knew anything about it. That's the wild part.
Just slight, just a cultural Oh wow, that is not the thing I was trying to do.
Just a cultural appropriation. Good job. I'm really racist.
I was going for osmosis. I'm sorry.
Cultural osmosis. Oh boy.
Oh, good lord. This
show sucks. Everyone unsubscribe.
So I'm a big fan of the Persona series, and this is what the Persona series spun off of.
Yeah.
Was Shin Megami Tensei, and I have Shin Megami Tensei 4 on my 3DS. I've dabbled in it. 3DS is a little hard for me to see sometimes. Just kind of depends on the lighting in the room and stuff. It's because I'm like I don't see the best. But Shin Megami Tensei. Okay, so if you took Persona and you pulled out all of the slice of life stuff and 95% of the stuff that makes you happy, you have left over a Shin Megami Tensei game. They are very dark and like brooding and like the world is going to end and you have to save it. Typical JRPG type stories and stuff, but it's very it's a lot darker.
Contracts with demons and that kind of thing too, right?
Yeah, and you have to some demons want some of your health to join you and things like that. Like it's all about give and take with convincing them to join you, and it's not quite as easy as in Persona where you can kind of just like talk to them and convince them. Like sometimes they want shit from you, and it's just very bleak and not very happy-go-lucky, but it's still a very good game and hard. Dude, the Shin Megami Tensei games are not fucking easy. Like they are punishing until you can get some like good demons on your team and start kind of getting your levels up. Think about like early Pokemon. Like if you were to run into a grass Pokemon that's like level 10 and your Squirtle's like level 8, that grass Pokemon's going to hit it with Razor Leaf or something and it's going to fuck it up. It's just kind of the same thing. Shin Megami Tensei has the same thing where like certain demons are more powerful against other ones than others. They have their type advantages and all that type of shit. It's a cool concept. It's Pokemon for adults.
Hey, I'm an adult and I still like the regular Pokemon.
So do I. I'm just saying that's what I've heard this game described as is like adult Pokemon. So maybe not necessarily for adults, but like adult themed Pokemon.
Do you like sexy Pokemon?
There are some interesting
I regret
looking
asking
Persona.
immediately.
Well, no, no sexy Pokemon, but there are some interesting looking demons for sure. I know in Persona 5, I fought these demons that looked like little dicks, almost. Like, they definitely get interesting. But if there's anything else that you guys wanted to touch on about E3, I think that's pretty much like what I.
Yep. There's one more Nintendo thing I wanted to touch on, and that is how upset and furious I would be if I was a Mario Party fan.
Oh.
Because Mario Party, the one for the Switch, was
Super
released,
Mario Party.
2 years ago, and has received, just got the world's smallest update, a couple months ago or something like that. And now they're coming out and releasing something. When they were showing it, I was like, oh, cool, more content for Super Mario Party. No, it's just a collection that is an additional purchase for another full game that's just old mini games wrapped up in a new package. I'm like,
dude,
how could you do that?
Let me go ahead and tell you. So I just recently had gotten Mario Party. A friend of mine was like, hey, man, I'm going to gift you this because I want you to play this with us. So I was like, okay. I guess. I was like, I'll pay you back. They're like, no, just Don't worry about it. It was like, I'm in another little group, kind of like Game Buds, but they do it on Saturdays sometimes. And we haven't even gotten to play it yet, but when I saw the Nintendo Direct thing come on and it was Mario Party, I was like, oh, cool, I have this now. Like, this includes me. Like, I know what the fuck they're talking. Oh, well, god damn it, there's a new one? I just got the fucking old one. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'd be so livid. Honestly, I would if I cared about Mario Party.
But then also, like, when I was looking at it, it's like a collection of a bunch of old stuff. So, like, I don't know. I feel like that could have easily been like a $20 DLC for the.
It should have been free DLC for Super Mario Party on the Switch.
Yeah, well, you know they're never gonna give it for free. Like, Nintendo is like, those motherfuckers will charge you a penny before they give it to you for free.
Yeah, I don't know. That rubbed me wrong.
Yeah, I don't disagree, man. I don't disagree. Yeah, I really did. I was like thinking, like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I remember this stuff from the 64 version. Oh, that would be cool to play. But then, yeah, I don't want to spend another $60 just to have some nostalgia and better graphics, like for Mario Party. Like, you give me, one of the games from my childhood that was something more substantial than Mario Party, then yeah, I'll buy it. Whatever. But a fucking Mario Party game that's just a rehash of a bunch of old Mario Party stuff for full price? No thanks. So, before we go any further, do want to throw out there, spoilers. I know we're not going to go as in-depth as we did last time, but from this point on, there are going to be things that are going to spoil major points in Dragon Quest XI for you. So if you don't want to spoil the game for you, stop listening now. But what you should do, though, is delete the episode and then re-download it and listen to the beginning part again. And then it'll be like you listened to a whole episode, and I'll get double the downloads, and that'll be great. So anyway, so we left off. We won the tournament at Octagonia, and the Rainbow. Thank you. The Rainbow was stolen by Rob, and he wrote us a note to meet him in Dundrasil. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And so, like, I'll go ahead and take the lead on this point too. And I'm like Dalton said, I will make this a lot more bullet pointy than last time, just highlighting the few main big pieces of it that kind of can't gloss over. So, like we were saying, you leave Octagonia to head to Dundrasil to meet up with Rab and Jade. You get there, you find out that Rab was the former king of Dundrasil and also your grandfather. So from there, you learn that, and Rab and Jade join the party. Any comments on that section? Because I know that's kind of like a huge point, and I'm just going to gloss over it otherwise.
Yes, I do have a comment, actually.
Okay.
So in the beginning of the game, when you're in the village, you have conversations with somebody who is your grandfather there, too. And correct me if I'm wrong, does he not look a lot like Rob as well?
Oh, shoot. Hold on. I'm going to actually look up images of them.
I think Chalky has some similarities for sure, because they're both old men drawn by Toriyama.
Yeah,
well, yeah,
Toriyama only has a few pieces.
That was going to be my next thing, is like, or did they just look alike because they were just both short, fat, round old men? Like,
I think that's more it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny, and not to jump too far ahead, but there was a point where you see the seer, and when I saw the seer for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that's Eric's sister," and I was wrong. It's not.
That was actually what I thought too. Holy shit!
But straight up, I was like, "She looks just like Eric," but that's because Eric looks like a boy version of all the hot girls. So. Because, I mean, hell, Jade and Eric look like they could be related.
Yeah.
I actually really did think that the seer's identity was going to be the sister of Eric, especially because, the first time we hear about the seer, it says she, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, even though I don't think it actually has a sex, per se. But so, yeah, that's just...
Y'all get there.
That's what I wanted to touch on, was that. So, continue.
Yeah, you will get the identity of the seer eventually, but we're not there at this point of the game yet.
Yeah.
Just FYI. Okay, so continuing on from there, you leave Dundrasil with this newfound knowledge and are out to still try to figure out, what is the actual cause of what's going on. You now have the Rainbow, so you will be able to make your way towards Yggdrasil. So you decide to head out into the wild ocean because you also realize at this point you need to find all the orbs, like in every Dragon Quest game. So you head out to Puerto Valor because Rab has a friend there that's like the leader of the town, Don Rodrigo, to get access to the ocean. He's out of town for whatever reason, and his servant, with the best name in the game, opens the gates for you. And Willie, I know you love this one so much, so I'll let you tell everyone what the servant's name is.
This made me so happy. The butler for Don Rodrigo, his name is Cervantes, but it's spelled like servant, but it's pronounced like Miguel Cervantes, the great Spanish writer. It's just such a fantastic Dragon Quest pun. I love the Dragon Quest puns so much. And Cervantes is like a top tier pun.
Yeah, I agree. That one is fantastic.
Yeah. So from there, you get onto the boat and head out into the wild blue yonder. And the first thing you do is you crash upon this little island that's right outside the gate. And then you do a bunch of stuff with mermaids. It's the best way to put it. And at the end of that, you are rewarded with an orb, and you continue going on. And then the next place you head to is Sniffelheim, which is like the Sweden of the world. And you have to save them from a witch, to which you also earn another orb, which then at that point you should have all the orbs and are able to make your way to Yggdrasil. Well, actually you go to Arborea first, which is Serena and Veronica's hometown, where they teach you how to get to Yggdrasil from there, where you have to go through the first forest. And we're hitting end of disc 1 energy right here. You finally make your way up to Yggdrasil. And to open up the heart of Yggdrasil, use the power of the Luminary and find that the Sword of Light is within Yggdrasil. At that moment, the Tree of Life opens up for you to allow you to get the sword, but that's when it goes down. And I'll let one of you guys talk more about that scene.
Yeah, shit goes haywire. Like, you go to reach for it, and then I believe that's when, correct me if I'm wrong, Ice, because I know that I have binged a lot of this game in the last 2 days, so it's kind of a blur to me. So the king and
Sir Jasper.
It's just Jasper at first.
It's just Jasper at first.
Sir Jasper shows up.
Yeah, and he is a bastard now.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. Yeah, you go ahead. You probably have it fresher on your mind than me.
So Sir Jasper shows up, he starts taunting you, and he like blasts you out of the way with some kind of terrible dark energy. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Then all of a sudden, King Carnelian, the guy that everyone is like, he's the king of Heliodor, he's like the big shot, head honcho of the strongest remaining kingdom, shows up. And like, Sir Hendrik had also been following you there too. So like that's right?
Yeah, I believe Hendrik was with you.
And so
wait, what? Say that again?
Sir Hendrik had followed you up there too, right?
Right, but you don't know that at the point.
Yeah, Sir Hendrik showed up to bail you out from Jasper or something, right? Like, it
correct.
Was weird.
Because you get up there, I'll go ahead and go do it then. Because Jasper, you start a fight with Jasper, and you're trying to beat Jasper, but he has this dark orb that won't let any of your attacks penetrate to him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like an unwinnable battle that you fight for a few rounds, and then eventually Jasper does this move that takes everybody down to 1 health.
Classic Squeenix.
Yep.
Now, real quick, I feel like that is a game trope that I could do without the unwinnable battle.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. They could have just done a cutscene. Come on.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to cutscenes too, but continue.
Yeah, so at that point, Jasper's about to go ahead and murder all of you, and that's when Hendrik comes in with King Carnelian by his side and see, look, King Carnelian, we've been betrayed, Jasper is the enemy, blah, 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 blah. And King Carnelian just kind of nods, and Hendrik walks forward to take Jasper down, when all of a sudden, the king himself shoots a ball of black energy into Hendrik's back.
From behind, like a bastard.
Yeah. And so Hendrik goes down and is unable to help as well. To which, at this point, Hendrik's like, what is the meaning of this? And that's when King Carnelian starts having like this like seizure-esque animations and stuff like that. And another person steps outside of King Carnelian's body.
Yeah. And so it turns out, the whole time, King Carnelian's been telling us, the Dark One will be spawned by the birth of the Luminary. Yeah, no, that was the Dark One the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, but Mordegon, Lord of Darkness, had basically basically been living inside of King Carnelian for the past 18 years.
Now, I don't have a ton of previous Dragon Quest knowledge. Has Mortigan been kind of like an ongoing
No,
villain, or is he new to this game?
completely new, fresh face to the villain. I mean, the idea of like a player behind the scenes that's the real dark villain has definitely been a Dragon Quest trope, but Mortigan is completely new. This is the dark one in this universe, as far as I know.
I was just curious because I hear Erdrick mentioned a lot, and he's the character from the first Dragon Quest, right?
Erdrick is your ancestor in the first Dragon Quest. Erdrick shows up a few times in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know. I think Mortigan looks cool. What did I say in the chat? I was like, oh, I forgot about, was it Frieza's buff older brother or punk rock older brother? Because he looks like if you took Frieza, combined it with Cell, and then like took him to a Bad Religion show, and then like once he came out, he's got ear piercings and he's got like a black and purple robe on, and he's just like, yeah, man, fuck society, bring down the chains.
As much as I've shit talked Toriyama's human faces, the man can draw a great monster.
Yeah, for sure. You know who's got an interesting face to me is Hendrik. I can't tell whether like I like his character design or if his face is far too square and stiff.
I think that's kind of the character. The character is square and stiff, so I think it's actually perfectly fitting for him.
Yeah, it's like he is to this
That's
game
a fair
like
point.
Steiner is to Final Fantasy IX.
That's a fair point on both accounts. But yeah, so Mortigan, he takes your luminary power, correct?
Yeah, so he basically, because you're already weakened from the fight with Jasper, so he like basically just picks you up and reaches into your heart and steals the power of the luminary from you.
Which, what the fuck? How is that possible?
I thought he was going to kill you. Like I thought he was ripping your heart out. Like I was like, oh, this game just got dark.
Yeah, that's after he reaches in and destroys the Sword of Light as well. Or no, that comes right afterwards. He basically destroys the Sword of Light.
So I almost made I meant to make a comment on the group chat again to you guys, but I didn't. I'll tab out of the game at the moment. So he grabs the Sword of Light, and it starts transmorphing into this other sword, and I couldn't help but want to message you guys and be like, oh, so this is where the origin of Soul Calibur started. Because that's
the Soul Edge now, baby.
What it reminded me of was Soul Edge. Yeah, when he grabbed it, that thing just turned into this hideous-looking,
Got these eyes on it?
evil sword.
Yeah, it's got the eyes and everything.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, because he decided to transfer the Sword of Light to something a little bit more appropriate for himself. And so, at that point, Mortigan does one of those big villain speeches and everything about, haha, all is lost, I have won. And then he literally blows up the World Tree with everyone inside of it, except for him and Jasper leave, and then blows up the World Tree. End of Disc 1.
Yeah, and what a fucking moment. Like, you build all the way up to this climax, and you fucking fail.
Yeah, like this is supposed to be your big part of the victory where you get the sword so you can finally defeat the darkness. And you just get absolutely bodied and destroyed by the biggest villain in the land.
Yeah, any normal length game you would have beat him, and that would have been the end of the game right there. You know what I mean? Like any game that's not a sprawling JRPG.
Yeah.
But this is Dragon Quest, and it's not good unless you've had a false finish.
Yeah, you got to have a couple false finishes, man.
Yes, you do. Because I've been playing Dragon Quest 3 and I hit the false finish of that game today.
Yep.
So yeah, at that point, end of Disc 1, everything is lost. Yggdrasil has fallen. Everyone is dead.
Or so you think.
As far as we know, the universe is all, like, the whole planet is completely messed up. Like, Yggdrasil, when leaves bloom on it, that's when a baby is born. And when a leaf falls off it, that means a man or a woman or a person has died. And now Yggdrasil is just a charred husk fallen below the horizon when it was always something you could see from anywhere in the world. Like, the mythological center of this universe is dead. The beautiful symbol of rebirth and regeneration is dead. But all of a sudden, we come back into the game somehow.
Yeah, so at this point of the game, individual characters start waking up, and you basically first start playing off through Sylvando's perspective, and you do a whole set of things as Sylvando, and then you have one as Jade, which is awful, and I don't want to talk about it.
I would like to talk about Sylvandos for a moment, because his whole thing is
go
he's
ahead.
bringing Hope back to the world even after Hope died, which I think is really incredible.
Yeah.
Totally, and I also love that, like, Sylvando was so dejected and defeated, and Dave just goes, "Well, that's enough of that," and slaps the fucking dog shit out of him, and is like, "Quit your fucking belly aching." He doesn't say fuck, obviously, you know, but he's just like, "Quit your bloody belly aching. You're freaking Sylvando." You know, he's just like,
Yeah.
come on. No.
Yeah, Dave's the best.
David the man.
The Jade one, that one was a little odd. It made me really dislike Booga. Like, he is a very dislikable character. But you end up having to come back to that, and yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like what they did with that storyline at all. And I think you also have one with Eric, in which Eric, to get out of the situation, then has to lose his memory entirely.
With he meets up again, he sees a vision of the seer, and the seer tells him basically, hey, I can get you out of this, but you'll have to give up the most precious thing to you, your memory of your time with the Luminary.
Yeah, and like your memories of your friends and shit, which that's a very sad scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
When he's like floating there and you're watching the memories of all you guys just burn away like photographs.
I felt a little bad about it, because
Look at
like on the
this
first episode I said
photograph.
that this, like, Dragon Quest is a little lower stakes, a little calm, and even though it's less tragic than a lot of RPGs, like, it does get dark in part 2 for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dark 2 is very dark. Okay, and then I think you finally get back to waking up as the Luminary. Like,
Rab.
I think it's after. Oh, Rab. You have Rab as well, where he's training to become a master of stagehood.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. Rab's in the castle? The Rab in Dundersill?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to go over that, go ahead.
Oh, just that he actually gets flashed back to before he actually is getting trained or whatever.
And that is...
He sees himself as the king's father, or not the king's father, the queen's father in the kingdom of Undersill before the fall. And he realizes over time that, what he's seeing is, like, false memories, and he, rises up. But you actually get to see your own character as a little baby, It's kind of sweet.
What's funny to me is after all the character dump in Dundrasil, when you were there talking to him and about how he was his grandfather, all that, still did not realize that he was king until this flashback. And they started calling him Lord Robert, and I was like, Robert? Who the fuck is that? And then I was like, oh, Rab! Oh, that's right!
I don't know if we've talked about it before, but Rab speaks in a very thick Scottish accent, like all of Dundersill does, and so Rab is actually short for Robert.
Yeah, and I think it's before the World Tree falls, but real quick, one of the goddamn funniest scenes in this whole game is when Rob gives that really empowered speech about going to Yggdrasil and defeating Morrigan and all that, and he turns around to start walking away, and his nudie mag falls out.
Yeah.
And just the reaction that he's got when everyone's like, oh, and he turns around and he sees it, and he just like falls down on the ground with his head down, covering it up, just like, I read it for the articles. That's like,
Fuck the articles, I tell you.
and he's so embarrassed. Everybody else is like, oh God, Rab. What dirty old man. And then cutting back to a little further when you find Rab again, and Henrik, this is the issue number 1 of Oakless Digest and in mint condition. Yeah, so, well, he seems to have taken good care of it or whatever. It cracks me up. So, sorry to interrupt. Continue, sir.
Bit of a jump, but yes.
Yeah, so Willie, were you had more to offer about that?
No, I just wanted to bring up that I thought it was cool that we got to see what Dundersill looked like when it was still a living and beautiful kingdom, and we got to see the colloquy, the moment when the 5 kings were brought together and had to view the Luminary and talk about his fate. And it turns out even when King Carnelian had been like shit-talking you and saying, oh, you're the Darkspawn, you're like a monster. It turns out he was actually just testing, I thought it was cool. It was testing the moral fiber of the rulers of Dundersill, like, okay, yeah, you definitely believe in the tale of the Luminary. So do we. We just wanted to make sure you were legit about it.
Yeah.
And then you're a fish.
Yeah, and then you come to and you're a fish.
Then you're a fish.
Turns out you were being taken care of by the mermaids the whole time because you fell directly into the ocean, and they saw you, got you, and protected you until you were able to wake up. Because, by God, this game is Skyrim, because every 5 minutes you get a, oh, you're finally awake.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
And
I've
literally
counted,
the
like,
phrase, oh, you're finally awake, happens like 4 times. Like, we were counting them at this point.
I want to say it was 2 or 3 times I've counted now that your character gets knocked off a boat and you're unconscious floating underwater.
I joked very early on that the Luminary's power is just to get knocked unconscious and show up in a bed.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah. But in the interest of kind of pushing things around so we're not talking about storyline for too much longer, I'm going to go ahead and say that at that point you talk to the Queen of Nautica, Marina, and you're able to turn back into a human. A lot of stuff happens, but your goal now is to go around finding all your friends again and rebuilding the party, which you do through universal means of just going through different locations where you last played as those characters and whatnot, and just basically finishing the storyline that you began as those characters, or they'll just appear at certain plot points. But like I said, that's a long storyline where the whole thing is you're just running around the world, regaining like your knowledge of the land, seeing how everything has changed and gone to hell since Yggdrasil fell, and reuniting with your teammates.
Yeah,
and also reclaiming the orbs, which had been stolen at the moment of the fall of Yggdrasil, where you're claiming them back from the 6 greatest generals of the Lord of Shadows, or Mordegon's army.
Right. So basically going to all these different places and getting your friends and defeating the, what are they called?
Spectral Sentinels.
Spectral Sentinels to get the orbs, correct.
And the quick beats that I can think of that were really cool, saving Jade was interesting. Like, I didn't expect that place to all the monsters to have been humans. Like, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that was about one of the only cool things about that.
Yeah.
My favorite, though, was going into the face of the ill-fated dude in, I believe it was down in Dundrasil.
Oh, the Restless Knight, yes.
Yeah, the
which
Restless
turns
Knight.
out, I mean, I guess we're already spoiled out, so the Restless Knight, which turns out to be your father, the King of Dundrasil.
Yeah, and there was
it Sir Erwin? King Erwin?
King Erwin. And there was
Erwin and
some
Eleanor.
sort of demon that feeds on sadness and regret and
Yes.
misfortune and things like that was inside him and had been feeding on him since the day that he quote-unquote died.
So even after they did the ritual to send your father's and mother's souls to heaven, he was still stuck there because of that horrible monster just like feeding on that sadness and feasting on it. He was taunting you the whole time. And when you finally get up there and you get to give him that big-ass glass of whoop-ass, that felt good.
Yeah, it did. I think doing the stuff with Sylvando was fun. You know, Sylvando is definitely a breath of comic relief in the game for sure. Even though like he's got his where you go and take him back to talk to his father, where they had issues. But I thought that was pretty cool. But Sylvando never fails to make me smile or laugh. Like, dude is just a great character.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I thought it was interesting doing Erdrick's Lantern because I thought that thing looked really cool. It actually reminded me of there's a dungeon in Skyrim, I think it's down in Blackreach, where there's a giant orb that looks like that hanging from the ceiling, and if you hit it with Fusro Da, it summons a dragon, and you have to fight the dragon in this cave underground.
Yeah. Oh, and I think one of the biggest points for me as well was you actually... Your first party member that you get to join you is probably not who you would expect it to be at all. So you actually go to this place called the
Last Bastion.
The Last Bastion, which turns out just to be cobblestone, but is the place where this great hero had been saving people, rescuing people, bringing them there, and building up a town back at the old place of cobblestone. Well, you get there, and you find out who the hero is, and that hero has been Hendrik all along. Yep. And Hendrik, once you go through all that, Hendrik actually becomes your first party member in the World of Ruin.
Yeah, man. And me and him were dueling great swords, and whew, we were dishing out some damage, son.
Oh, yeah. So that was a really cool scene, because you get to finally be friends with this person who was your adversary that was trying to kill you in the first chapter of the game, is now your steadfast companion.
And you also get a chance to... go ahead, Ice.
I was just going to say, after, you get to see the King Heliodor, King Carnelian of Heliodor, without the demon in him, and all of a sudden he's trying to get you guys to reunite because he's like, you know what, man, I've done some messed up stuff, but, man, you guys are the last hope for this kingdom. Please bring the light back. You, go, help this guy. Luminary, I'm sorry I messed everything up. I swear to God I was possessed. Please fix the world.
Yeah, pretty much. But the spot that I left off on, because like going and getting Eric was really cool. Getting to see his sister and that whole backstory where he had given her a cursed item and it ended up turning her to gold. But then Mortigan gives her the power to get out of that gold and be a dirty little brat. And she takes that opportunity. So now she's like turning everybody and everything into gold because she just can. And I also think she was possessed, right? Like the necklace was possessed. Yeah. Because you end up, I believe, destroying the necklace in that big fight. And then I remember like where I was leaving off was she was laying in a bed as I was leaving the room. But I had to leave the room during that cutscene, so I kind of missed that, like what had happened to her. But
yeah, basically it's like what you said, is you're finally able to get the necklace off of her and basically free her from the curse, and she's a good person.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. The final story beat that I saw was going to Arborea after helping Sniffleheim with their, the Gold Digger issue and all of that. Going to Arborea and meeting up with Serena and trying to find Veronica. And you find Veronica, and she's fucking dead.
Yep. Yeah. So as it turns out, the only reason everybody else is still alive is because Veronica sacrificed herself to save everyone else.
I'm not going to lie. Gave me one of those stereotypical single tears.
I felt bad too, because I'm pretty sure on the last episode I literally called her mean child, the same words I used to describe Natsuki. And now I feel bad because it's like, oh no, it turns out in the moment of need she gave everything she had to make sure everyone could still be there to save Luminary.
Yeah, man, what a fucking sacrifice. And I felt like that was a good redeeming quality, like there at the end, because I'm sure a lot of people probably felt like you, where it's like, man, she's just kind of bratty and bitchy, but then you see this side of her where like this, where she saved everyone, or when Serena was talking to her the night when they were talking about their leaves were bloomed at the same time because they're twins. Did she think that they would fall at the same time? And Veronica's
always
like,
were a little bit slow.
Yeah, she's like, we were always a little bit slow, so probably not. But then she's like, but I hope they do.
Tear up a little bit, actually.
Yeah, no, bro. It's
foreshadowing.
It was major foreshadowing, and it's like, man, it's good. It's good storytelling. I may be on the verge of being JRPG'd out for a little bit, but like I still appreciate that this game's got really good writing in it. It's a good story.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you entertained through the whole thing, even though because so far I think it's up to 70 hours into it, and I think I'll be done completely with the game by the time we record again, but I have been entertained the whole time. This is my second playthrough, so.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking I'll probably have it done too by then. I'm not too terribly far behind you guys from what I know.
No, especially levels-wise, you're ahead of us. We're just ahead of you story-wise, you clown.
Yeah, hooray for grinding for long periods of time for no reason.
But no, I get it. The grinding is fun. Like, the battles in this game are actually really a lot of fun to play, so it's not like it's a chore to get those levels.
And it's almost like a gambling thing with me. Like, I go to Slime Island, and I'm like, all right, when's the medal going to show up? And then when the medal shows up, it's like, all right, is it going to let me kill it? Or is it going to run away and I have to start this process over again? And it's like this constant, like, all right, I got one metal slime. Let me try for two. Let me see if two will pop. What about three? What if I can get a whole group of them?
Especially while we're talking about monsters, I know you wanted to talk about this too. The translation of this game has so many great names for monsters. The fact that you run into this weird monster that has like an egg-shaped exoskeleton and it's called Exoskeleton. Like, they came up with that pun completely independently of the translation. These character names are hilarious. And I don't know, man. Like, all these monsters have funny ass names. It is great.
Yeah, because I remember distinctly on my first playthrough before Willie had ever played it, and like I was playing on the Nintendo Switch, and I just come across this one monster, and I was like, it made my day so much. I had to take screenshots of it, send it to Willie right away because it just cracked me up so much, and it made me so happy to be playing a Dragon Quest game. And there's this little like boar, a little pig wearing a witch hat is what the enemy looks like, and its name is the Sham Hat Witch. Masterful.
That's fucking wonderful.
It makes me so happy just thinking about it every time.
I'm looking at like a list of the enemies right now, and there's one that's the dragon skeleton, aptly called Skelligan. While I'm looking for other clever ones, I want to say that I'm always happy when I go to open a treasure chest and it's a mimic or a canna box.
Canna box.
Like in any RPG game, I'm always super happy to find a mimic because I get to kill them. Whereas in D&D, usually if you find a mimic, you're all dead. So,
well, dude, I'll be in Dragon Quest 3. I'd been wiped out by some mimics before, so.
There's a.
Like, I love that. Like after the fall of the Yggdrasil, there's like a gang that shows up, and they're called the Beastly Boys.
Yeah.
And then that ends up becoming like Sylvando's running men after that. Like, I don't know. It's great. These names are so good.
The Cheetah. The Masquerader, which is a, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a big beetle bug looking thingy with two big horns that you can run with and knock rocks over.
Yeah.
The Trolls crack me up. Whack-a-lights. That's great. A Whack-a-lite?
That's a great name.
That's a great fucking name.
Okay, here's one of my absolute favorites, too. So there's this dragon. It like stands up on 2 feet that kind of wears like a professor hat looking thing, like a graduation cap. And it's... Oh, I lost the name.
Professorus.
Oh, no. Yeah, the Professorus.
Oh, yes.
Such a good joke.
Absolutely.
Because I messed up because my brain wanted to call it the Velociraptor.
Dude, that's way better. Holy shit.
Dude, that's the name of that old meme, dude.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, the Velociraptor. I remember that meme. There's the Penny Pincher, which is the
slot machine
that has come to life. Yeah.
There's literally a character named Dora that spends all of their time trying to lure you into a painting where they're trying to suck all the energy and color out of the world. And when you meet her in that world, her name is Dora in Gray.
Yeah, because she's wearing
gray. Holy shit.
That's a great pun, too.
Just a worm with big-ass lips named Kisser. Like, I love it. There's a special mimic in the game named Pandora's Box. Just fucking love it. Like, they definitely have great names. Like, Legger the Man.
Legger the Man, yeah.
Yeah. Or a dragon that had time powers named a Clockworm.
Clockworm.
There's Jercules and Brodicius. Like, fucking, yeah. Like, you guys get the idea. But, like, they're just fucking fantastic names for this game.
Yeah, Jercules is a great one. I love that one.
There's a cucumber named the Cruel Cumber, and his harder version is the Zoomini.
Yes. And then you have Crabber-Dabber-Doo.
Crabber-Dabber-Doo.
And Soot Bonce and Smog Bonnet. Yeah, just wonderful. Wonderful. I think that about wraps up as far as game talk. I did a lot of fucking grinding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what I did. My goal is to see a Metal King Slime before the end of this game.
I think you can make it happen.
I think I'm also going to cheat and give myself max mini medals so I can see what the rest of the stuff in the list is, just to be able to talk about it, because I don't actually know what.
I'm doing a pretty good job of just finding them, but cheat away, my dude.
I would like to, like, I want to know what the final reward for it is, you know what I mean, and if it's any good, because I slaved away in the casino and got that two-hander sword, and I've replaced it by now, and I thought that surely that thing would last me through the rest of the game, but I was wrong. But yeah, man. So real quick, next week's episode, is going to be on a short game, and the winner of the poll for the short game was Gex, the original Gex. I'm looking forward to that a lot. I have never played the original Gex. I've played 2 and 3 when they moved into the 3D platform space, but this is the 2D Gex. So I'm much looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am as well. I might actually go ahead and stream that one on Wednesday if anybody cares to join me.
Yes, and I was thinking about doing that myself on Tuesday, so maybe we could, it'll give us something to talk about at least next week. We can compare streams and be like, yeah, well,
yeah.
Wait, what did you get, like, how did you experience the yada, yada, yada. There is another poll up for the next short game after Dragon Quest, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the next Dragon Quest episode after that would be going into Blair Witch, but we could throw one last short game in there for a while, and then it's your choices for this one are number 1, Space Quest number 1, Roger Wilco and the Saurian Encounter. 2 is Velocity Ultra. 3 is Edgar, Bok Bok and Balsac. 4 is Astabreed Definitive Edition, which I think is a shoot 'em up. And 5, and the one that is currently in the lead, is Duke Nukem: The Manhattan Project.
Cool.
So go and get your votes in. And as far as the normal games, it is pretty much locked in at this point that the next longer game, or when things go back to normal after Dragon Quest, it is going to be Blair Witch. Unless something comes up and somehow Yakuza pulls it through, I don't see that happening. But Blair Witch probably going to win, which is cool with me. I've heard really good things about Blair Witch, and a horror game would be a good break from the stuff that we've been playing. So it'll be cool, man. It'll be interesting. And Nate, go ahead and plug your stuff, buddy. Also, what's up, man? Shout out, Mr. Cogsworth.
Oh. Yeah. All right, man. Y'all can find me on Twitch TV on Sundays and Wednesdays at twitch.tv/TurtleBearman, and also Twitter at TurtleBearman. So look forward to having y'all hanging out.
Yes. And also, appreciate you being perma guest host, my good man. Means a lot. And then, Willie, would you like to plug your stuff?
Sure. I guess I'm Iceprint Studios on Twitter and Twitch, and I still don't really do much there, so that's cool. Have fun.
I'm gonna bug you about that every week, even though you don't really stream or tweet. Like, I'm still gonna get you to plug it just because.
I mean, I streamed a week and a half ago, so miracles can happen.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. As far as me, man, well, first and foremost, thank you, Willie, as well, for popping in the co-host seat. I truly do appreciate that a lot, man. We're gonna have some fun with some good games and some shitty games. It'll be a good time. Luckily for both of you and Ryan, I tended to buy at least games that were decent. So there's a handful of shitty ones, and that again is subjective, but it will be fun to see how certain things have aged, because I definitely have a lot of older games. But I'm rambling again. We'll see. The Steam Machine Podcast.wordpress.com is our website. You can find links to everything if you want to. You want to support the show, and it really helps out a lot. You can go to patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast, or you can go to our website, like I said, steammachinepodcast.wordpress.com, and there's a button on there that'll take you to the Patreon. It'll take you to my Bandcamp. If you like the music that you hear on the show, you can go buy my albums on Bandcamp. I make that music. It'll take you to a link for the show, for the Twitter, a link to the Discord. Come join the Discord, man. Make your vote be heard. Vote for what you want to hear on the show each week. I put up polls. I let you guys vote on what you want, and we adjust accordingly. I do want to start doing every now and then one of us picking a game, like maybe once a month. One of us picks a game that we don't randomize. We don't ask people for their vote. It's like one that we want to play, and I think that could be cool to do. Maybe like we'll rotate, maybe 1 month I'll pick one, next month Willie picks one, next month Nate picks one.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. But that's an idea that I've been mulling around in my head. But yeah, come join the Discord, man. Come talk to us. Like it always warms my heart when I see somebody join, and I'll take a screenshot of their name and I'll send it to Willie and Nate and be like, "Do we know this person?" We don't know this person. Yay, new person. It's always a cool feeling, man, because that means that like they found us through the show. So thank you for listening, for sure. It means the world. And if there's anything else I want to see, I get the Discord. If you would please go to iTunes, find us on iTunes or Spotify, and leave us a review. That would do wonders. The more reviews that we have, the higher the show will show up in rankings. It helps with the analytics, yada, 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 technical bullshit. Leave us a 5-star review, and it would be much, much, much appreciated. I still would like to give away Just Cause 3 if we hit, I don't remember what I set it to for 5-star reviews, so I'll just say 20. We're at 8, so if we get 12 more, I'll give away a copy of Just Cause 3 XL edition. I believe it's the XL edition. I could be wrong on that. But in any case, please go review the show. Thank you for listening. I am the king of rambling on at the end of episodes, so I'm just going to shut the fuck up. Willie, Nate, thank you guys so much for coming on. I look forward to many more episodes with you dudes. I love you both. You're good dudes. I love everyone out there listening right now. Shout out to KB and Rebecca, who I know are listening while they're having their coffee, and you guys left my house earlier, so I appreciate you guys coming by and seeing the family. Enjoy your morning listening to us talk about things that you have no fucking clue what we're talking about, but still enjoy it. For this week's episode of the Steam Machine Podcast, they are the Brothers of Destruction. I'm Dalton, and as always, guys, take it easy.